Melanie was 32 years old and lived alone in a small apartment near the city center. During the day, her life was full of purpose. She worked as a nurse at a large city hospital, moving quickly through long corridors, helping patients, calming families, and supporting doctors who trusted her completely. Her patients liked her gentle voice and steady hands. At work, Melanie felt useful. She felt needed. But when the evening came, everything changed. After her shifts ended and she walked back to her apartment, a strange emptiness followed her home. The rooms were quiet. Too quiet. She cooked simple meals for one, ate alone, and sat by the window, watching the city lights without really seeing them. Her job gave her meaning, but her personal life felt unfinished, like a story waiting for something to begin. One evening, after a long shift, Melanie was walking home as usual. The street was busy, and she was tired, thinking about nothing in particular. Suddenly, a car hit her from behind. She fell to the ground, her heart racing, her breath stolen by fear. People shouted. A car stopped. Luckily, the car had not been driving fast. Melanie was shaken, but she was not badly hurt. A man quickly stepped out of the car. He was wearing a neat suit and looked deeply worried. He rushed to her side, held her hand gently, and helped her stand up. "Are you hurt?" he asked. "Are you injured?" Melanie shook her head. "No. I'm okay." The man insisted on driving her home. At first, she refused, embarrassed and unsure. But he kept asking, his voice calm and sincere. Finally, she agreed. During the short drive, neither of them spoke much. When they reached her apartment, Melanie thanked him politely and stepped out of the car. He smiled warmly and drove away. Inside her apartment, Melanie sat down and realized her heart was still beating fast. "Stop it," she told herself quietly. He was just a kind stranger. But no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't stop thinking about him. And she had no idea that this small accident had just changed her life forever. A few evenings later, after another long shift at the hospital, Melanie walked home through the busy city streets. Her body was tired, but her mind was quiet. Work always helped her forget the loneliness waiting for her at home. The lights of the city reflected on the wet road, and cars passed quickly behind her. Then it happened. A sudden sound. Tires. A sharp brake. A car lightly hit her from behind. Melanie lost her balance and fell to the ground. Pain rushed through her body, not sharp, but frightening. For a moment, she couldn't breathe. People stopped. The city noise seemed far away. The car door opened immediately. A man in a dark suit ran toward her, his face full of fear. "I'm so sorry," he said urgently. "Are you hurt? Please tell me you're okay." He reached for her hand and helped her sit up. His grip was gentle, careful, as if he was afraid to hurt her again. Melanie checked her arms and legs. She was shaking, but nothing was broken. "I'm okay," she said softly. "Just scared." The man looked relieved. He asked her to sit in his car so he could drive her home. At first, Melanie refused. She didn't like trouble, and she didn't trust easily. But he insisted, apologizing again and again, his voice full of concern. In the end, she agreed. The ride was quiet but warm. He didn't ask personal questions. He didn't try to impress her. He simply wanted to make sure she was safe. When they reached her apartment, he stopped the car and smiled politely. "Thank you for trusting me," he said. "I'm really sorry again." "Thank you for bringing me home," Melanie replied. That night, alone in her apartment, Melanie couldn't stop thinking about him. His worried eyes. His calm voice. His kindness. "Stop it," she whispered to herself. "He's just a stranger." But somewhere deep inside, she felt that this stranger had entered her life for a reason she did not yet understand. For a while, Melanie allowed herself to believe she was finally happy. The man who had once been a stranger was now a familiar part of her life. He waited for her after work, drove her home, listened to her stories, and stayed with her in the evenings. Her apartment, once quiet and lonely, now felt warm and alive. Slowly, without realizing it, Melanie fell in love. But happiness did not last long. One morning, Melanie went to the market to buy groceries before her shift. The air smelled of fresh bread as she walked past a bakery. Suddenly, she stopped. Her body froze, and her heart skipped a beat. Across the street, she saw him. The man she loved was standing there, laughing. Beside him was a woman holding his arm, and next to her was a child, about 10 years old. They looked close. Comfortable. Like a family. The woman smiled up at him, and the child laughed at something he said. Melanie's world collapsed in that moment. Her chest tightened, and her hands began to shake. A single thought filled her mind: he lied to me. Tears burned her eyes as she turned away and ran. She didn't look back. She didn't want to see them again. By the time she reached her apartment, she was crying so hard she could barely breathe. That evening, he came to pick her up as usual. But this time, Melanie was ready. She opened the door with anger burning inside her. "How dare you lie to me?" she shouted. "I saw you today. You have a wife. You have a child. Do you have no shame?" He looked confused at first. Then he spoke calmly, as if nothing was wrong. "Melanie, don't worry. I enjoy being with you. My wife doesn't know." Those words broke her completely. "I am not that kind of woman," Melanie cried. "I will never be with a man who lies and cheats." She slammed the door in his face, her hands shaking, her eyes full of tears. From that day on, he never came back. His car never appeared outside the hospital. His messages stopped. He disappeared as suddenly as he had entered her life. Melanie returned to her empty apartment, feeling foolish for believing in love again. Her heart felt heavier than ever. She thought the pain was over. She was wrong. For a short while, Melanie allowed herself to believe she was happy again. Andrew was kind in ways that felt different from before. He listened. He waited. He never rushed her feelings. When he said he loved her, his voice was calm and certain. Melanie was afraid, but she wanted to trust him. She asked him to promise he would never leave her. Andrew promised without hesitation. They began living together. One morning, Melanie woke up feeling strange. Her body felt weak, and her head was spinning. She took a test and sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the result with shaking hands. She was pregnant. Fear and joy crashed together inside her. After everything she had been through, this felt unreal. She messaged Andrew immediately. His reply came quickly. He was happy. He sent hearts and loving words. Melanie cried with relief. For the first time in a long while, she believed her life was moving forward. But the next day, Andrew did not come to the hospital. He did not come the day after that either. Melanie's heart slowly sank. She called him again and again, but his phone was off. Her friends tried to help, but no one could find him. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into a month. Andrew was gone. The silence felt familiar. Too familiar. One afternoon, Melanie went to the market, hoping fresh air would clear her mind. Then she saw him. Andrew was standing nearby, laughing with a woman. They looked close. Comfortable. Melanie felt the world tilt beneath her feet. It had happened again. She ran home, locked herself in her room, and cried until her body hurt. Every promise felt like a lie. Every hope felt foolish. She told herself she would never trust again. The next day, there was a knock at the door. When Melanie opened it, Andrew was standing there, pale and exhausted. Before he could speak, all her pain exploded. She hit him, shouting through tears, accusing him of betrayal and lies. She slammed the door in his face. Then, through the closed door, Andrew spoke quietly. And everything Melanie believed began to break apart. Melanie thought she had reached the end of her strength. After Andrew disappeared, days lost their meaning. She stopped going to work. The hospital called, but she didn't answer. She stayed inside her apartment, curtains closed, phone silent, her heart heavy with fear and anger. When she discovered she was pregnant, the joy lasted only seconds before turning into terror. She was alone again, or so she believed. Then one afternoon, she saw Andrew at the market. He was laughing. Standing beside a woman. That single image broke her completely. She ran home, locked herself inside, and cried until her body ached. She told herself she was foolish for believing again. Foolish for trusting promises. Foolish for hoping. The next day, when the doorbell rang, she wasn't ready. Andrew stood outside. Before he could finish a sentence, all her pain poured out. She slapped him. Once. Twice. Her hands shook, her voice broke as she screamed everything she had been holding inside. Then she shut the door and collapsed on the floor, sobbing. From the other side, Andrew spoke softly. He told her the truth. The woman in the market was his sister. The only family he had left. When Melanie told him about the baby, he was overwhelmed with happiness. He rushed to bring his sister back so they could share the moment together. But on the way, he had a terrible accident. His car was destroyed. His phone was broken. He was hospitalized for weeks. He had no way to contact her. When he finished, there was only silence. Melanie opened the door slowly. Andrew